there's a country in Europe that had increased its importance significantly since the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Yes, the country was already significant before, but it had increased its importance since the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Do you know what country that is? If you guess Poland, you guess just right. Poland is the subject of the video of today, and I'm going to be dividing the video in three parts. First, we're going to be talking about the geographical importance of Poland. Then we're going to be talking about the history of Poland, a little bit into the history, and then how Poland has increased its geopolitical importance with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. If you want to know more about that, this video is for you. Let's get straight into the video of today. Before we start, I need to make a disclaimer. Nothing that we produce in this channel is to be considered financial, tax, or legal advice. All that we produce here is content for informational and entertainment purpose only. So once you agree with that, we can continue with the video. Now, I want to start the video sharing this beautiful picture of Poland. And we're going to be talking about Poland. So remember the roadmap, the geographical significance of Poland, the historical background, and then the geopolitical importance. Let's go into that. So before going to Poland, let's talk about Europe. So you can see here, there's a map showing pretty much the European continent and, of course, a portion of Russia. Now, the reason why I put those white waves here is I want you to think that you are Vladimir Putin or you're in control of Russia. And if you are in control of Russia and you see the West as your opponent or as your enemy, and you look at the map of Europe, you can see massive bodies of land. You can see here Spain, France, Germany, Poland, and then of course Belarus is already pretty much Russia. The alliance between Belarus and Russia is very difficult to untie. So if you are Vladimir Putin and you look at this map, you can see that if the West gets Spain, they got a massive piece of land. If they get France, is another massive piece of land, and that those massive pieces of land are stepping towards your country. And then of course there's Germany and there's Poland. So Poland is the last body of land between Russia and the West. Belarus could be seen as a buffer zone. However, Belarus is already pretty much part of Russia. Another portion of land that is significantly important is Ukraine. So you can see how Russia will feel threatened by Ukraine becoming part of NATO, but Ukraine is not the subject of this video. You want to focus on Poland. So imagine those four stepping blocks: Spain, France, Germany, and Poland. And you realize that Poland is the last massive body of land between Russia and the NATO allies, or between Russia and the West. So that's why Poland is very significant. It's one of the biggest countries in Europe and is right there just before Russia as a buffer zone. Now remember, Poland is also part of NATO, so it's not really a buffer. However, if Russia is to attack Europe, it will do either through Ukraine or through Poland. Now, a little bit about the Polish geography. Poland is strategically bordering Lithuania on the north, the Baltic countries, and of course the Baltic Sea, and also Belarus on the east and the southwest, and of course the Kaliningrad, which is a border with Russia. So Poland basically has a border with Russia, and this little corridor here that we put in a circle right above this black arrow is of very important strategic importance to Poland on the northeast, where they have access to Lithuania, Latvia, and other countries. So you can see here on this image. Now imagine that if Russia or Belarus, in this case, tries to cut a land corridor and disconnect Lithuania from Poland, that would be another way to isolate Poland from the other countries such as Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Now, this is a passage of very important significance to both, to Russia or Belarus, here in this case, Russia, and of course for the countries such as Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, because it connects them to Europe. So there's an interest on both parties to maintain this open for peace purpose, but also there's an interest to close this. So eventually in history there will be an attempt to close the Slovakia gap. At least that's my view. If you don't agree, please let me know that on the comments below. Now let's go further. Let's talk about the history of the Union of Lublin. It was founded in 1569, and that was the largest amount of people in any territorial alliance. And of course, the alliance was mainly between Poland and Lithuania. Now, the reason why Poland was motivated to make that alliance is because Poland, we're not going to be showing here now to you, is mostly a flat country. And that flatness makes it very easy for invasion to occur, and that is exactly what happened in Poland throughout history. So they created an alliance with different groups, religious groups, and different people, so they could guarantee their ability to preserve their country and also to attack and conquer neighboring countries. And of course, they are also under the threat of back then the Russian and the Ottoman empires. Now, that alliance lasts for about 200 years, and 200 years later, there was the disintegration of this union, and of course, that disintegration occurred from within. Remember, there were different groups, different religions, and of course, eventually there were friction happening from within, and once that alliance collapsed, Poland became very vulnerable to the attacks of at least three major empires: Persia, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. And of course, they have lost their territories for those three empires. There are multiple losses, and we can see the map here. On the 1772, they start to lose their territory, of course, because the alliance had collapsed. And you can see on this map how they lost and to whom. You can see here, in 1772, they lost territories to Austria, which is here in green. You can see in brown, they lost also territories to Persia, and they have lost territories to Russia, which is here on the east part of the map. And you can see here, in 1793, they continue to lose more territory to Persia and more territory to Russia, which is here on this area. And of course, in 1795, they lost more territory to Austria, and they lost more territory to Persia and more territory to Russia, pretty much totally eradicating Poland. And Poland remained for approximately 120 years without any independence and without any existence and any claim to any geographical territory. That, of course, changed at the end of the First World War. Poland gets reestablished in 1918 when they declared its independence again. So, of course, after reestablishing their independence in 1918, that independence did not last very long. They got caught again between the Nazis and, of course, Stalinist Russia. And Nazis came to Poland specifically to attack their Jewish population. And, by the way, one of the largest concentration camps that we know in the history is the Auschwitz, and that concentration camp was also in Poland. So Poland was pretty much devastated and attacked on the World War II. So after being devastated on World War II, Poland has a challenge, which is to rebuild the country. People get to migrate from one place to another because now they reestablish their borders and they have to rebuild the industry and, of course, to reacquire access to minerals so that the country can be rebuilt economically and also structurally. And they do that very well. However, they do this under the influence of the Soviet Union, which doesn't make Polish population very happy. And of course, in 1980, all that Soviet pressure causes the establishment of a free trade union called Solidarity. Now, it's important to understand that this union, Solidarity, or this free trade union, was, of course, a rebellious union, and of course, it did strikes on the land. However, it was not strikes connected to socialism or communism, but strikes to refute communism and socialism from the USSR. So that movement got established in 1980, and it grows tremendously because this movement has the opposing force, or trying to oppose communism and supporting nations and advocating for democracy. And of course, that movement grew and also had a strong influence in other neighboring countries and also had an influence on the turn down of the Berlin Wall. So Solidarity movement could be considered the movement that grew in Poland and spread to other countries and was one of the contributing parties or one of the contributing forces to the collapse of Soviet Union and the tearing down of the Berlin Wall. Now, once the Berlin Wall has collapsed, you have democratic Poland. And Poland is looking for a way to prevent what happens in the past from happening again. And what they do is they seek for alliance with NATO. NATO becomes a player role or a very important role or a very important alliance for Poland to reestablish itself as a democracy, as an independent country, and trying to take steps to prevent things that has happened in the past from happening again. And of course, NATO does want Poland because Poland, again, has a very important geographical position on Europe because it is the last main mass of land between West and Russia. Also, if you look at the Polish map, you can see the Baltic Ocean on the north and also the south border with Ukraine. So geographically speaking, Poland is very significant, and now Poland starts to become geopolitically important with this alliance with NATO. So after the alliance with NATO, Poland starts to boast one of the largest military power in Europe. That's the situation of today after the conflict with Ukraine. Also, besides NATO and being part of the EU, Poland established a group called the B9 or the Bucharest Group to assist Ukraine and protect Polish interests. This is an organization, this is an alliance independent from NATO. It is also important to understand that even though Poland became part of EU and part of NATO, Poland is very different, culturally speaking, than the rest of Europe. The Polish population is a very Catholic population, it's a very conservative population, and as the European Union drifts into this situation with LGBTQ and more liberal ideas, challenging religion, that caused Poland to be drifting away in terms of values from the EU. And of course, tensions begin to increase. And in 2015, we start to see signs of that drifting or that separation between Poland and the rest of Europe in terms of culture, values, and society values in general. So in 2015, the tensions start to increase. And of course, in 2019, Poland starts to change its regulation because remember, in order to be part of NATO, in order to be part of the EU, Poland has to adapt. They have to change structurally the entire fabric of their laws and so on so they can be members of NATO and members of the EU. And then, of course, once that membership has been there, Poland, because of different values compared to the rest of Europe, starts to drift back to its original value. And of course, in 2019, Poland starts to restructure itself, the judicial system, and that does not please the rest of the European Union. And they talk about possibly using Article 7 on Poland. Now, Article 7 is an article that pretty much is the first step into getting a country to be separate or no longer to be part of the European Union. Of course, that first step is just a threat or a warning sign. No country has actually left the EU by the EU imposing. What we have is England leaving the EU voluntarily, but non-voluntarily, countries do not really push one another and they don't move forward from Article 7. However, that was in 2019. Now, with Russian invasion of Ukraine, the significance of Poland increases for the EU. And now the European Union is start to let go or not emphasize so much the difference between the Polish behavior and the Polish laws versus what is required to be part of the EU. Now, it's a very difficult thing to determine. How far would the EU allow Poland to go before they really push Article 7 or try to separate Poland from the rest of the EU? The line to me is as long as Poland does not become an authoritarian regime, Poland will continue to be part of the EU, and the EU would let it go certain laws such as anti-LGBTQ and things such as we have here in Europe now. We have Netherlands and Portugal, for instance, electing Miss Netherlands or Miss Portugal. They're actually biological born male. So that will not happen in Poland because of the Catholic culture of Poland. So I think as long as Poland does not become an authoritarian regime, the EU will put up with certain things because now the importance of Poland became very clear with the invasion of Russia to Ukraine. So let's leave a little recap. We talk about the geographical significance of Poland, meaning where Poland is located geographically and how that is important for NATO and for the European Union and for the West in general. Also, we gave a very brief background in the history of Poland, and now we talk lately about the geopolitical importance of Poland. A few things that I have not mentioned and I want to mention now on the recap is Poland has increased its military forces tremendously after the invasion of Ukraine. Today, Poland is the largest ground military force in Europe, which means Poland has more than enough military capacity to defend itself and even to expand itself to other territories. So the European Union and European countries do not want to have a conflict with Poland. Poland is by far the largest military force, ground force in Europe. Also, when it comes to NATO, Poland invests more than any other country in terms of the percentage of the GDP. So Poland is prepared to defend itself and is prepared to attack. Poland will not have what happened in the past to them happen again. They have learned the lesson and they will continue to increase themselves militarily. Now, with this, I wrap up this video. Please let me know what your thoughts are regarding Poland on the comments below. If you agree with me or do not agree with me, let me know that on the comments below. If you do know someone who can benefit from this, please do share. And if you did like the content, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell because I'm going to be making more videos about other countries and their geopolitical importance. This is it for now. See you guys in the next video.
Kaboom. Goodbye.